Okay, it is 6:30. I am going to call to order the September 17th, 2025 Cedarburg School Board meeting. This is a regular meeting of the Cedarburg School Board and is a public meeting. Prior notices have been placed in the district, and additional copies were forwarded to the city and town of Cedarburg, as well as the News Graphic and Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. And as we begin tonight's meeting, on behalf of the board, I'd like to thank all those who have come to share the exciting opportunities and or accomplishments they have had related to the Cedarburg School District. These are just a few of the examples that make our district so great, and we really do value you sharing them. We recognize that you may have other responsibilities tonight, so if you have to leave after you present or before the end of the meeting, we completely understand. And thanks again to all of those in attendance tonight. And with that, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the consent agenda. With regards to the consent agenda, board members, I ask you approve the minutes from the regular board meeting on August 20, I wrote the wrong date on here. August 20th, 2025. The budget and finance report, which includes the summary of accounts, check register, check detail, and credit card transaction reports, and the personnel report. Mr. Drosa, Director of Human Resources, is here to provide an overview of the personnel report.
Thank you, Dr. Clark. Good evening, everybody. This evening, we are seeking board approval for Nicole Stock, who is going to be the new building sub at Burson. And then we just have two internal transfers, Trin Wigger and Kristen Milsimmer. They had to do with numbers at the different buildings between building blocks and special ed 4K.
I motion to approve the consent agenda. I will second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I would make a motion to separate out the approval of minutes regular school board meeting August 20th, 2025. The minutes were offered incorrectly. They include the closed session, which the clerk is to have presented and approved at the next closed session. So it is not just the regular board meeting minutes that were included. It also included the closed session. Those are to be voted on at the next closed session. Also, one of the votes for the closed session is incorrect.
I'll second the closed motion or amendment. Okay, do we need a vote to remove something out of the consent agenda, or can we just?
The whole agenda is basically got to be redone from the beginning. You can't just remove part of it because the attendance and everything reflects things that happened during closed session. So the whole thing would need to be redone.
So you can hold that out.
But I'm pulling out it's the approval of minutes. We don't need a vote on that, do we?
The motion, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, is there any discussion? We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor of removing the approval of minutes from the consent agenda? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, we will remove the approval of minutes from the consent agenda. And that vote passes 7-0. So we did have a vote without discussion. So you had a motion, but there was a discussion on the personnel and, personnel. So since that vote's already been done, I'm just giving a heads up that I'll send an email because I did have a question about that internal transfer. So I'm hopping on it late. I'm just giving you a heads up, Jared.
Sure.
And Tony.
I don't think we voted on that. I think we just voted to.
You okay? So we're good on removing it, and then we still have the consent. It's okay, and I'm not off too much here. Okay, so, well, I'll wait for you. All right, so we have a motion and a second on the consent agenda with the approval of minutes removed. Is there any discussion on that? Thank you. Just a quick question for the two that are being transferred. I was under the impression that one of those individuals actually already worked at both of those buildings. So is it the amount of hours that's being spent more at one than the other?
Yeah, that's the shifting due to the numbers was to, their time is evenly split between both buildings, both individuals with both buildings, but different roles in each building.
And that wasn't the case before? It wasn't evenly divided between those schools? Just the way it looked on the sheet to me was a little confusing. I couldn't tell if it was being moved from one primary building to another, or if it was meant to communicate that it's at both of those buildings the same amount of time. I don't know if other board members get what I mean. Do you guys understand what I'm saying?
Not entirely.
No?
I
You understand what I'm saying?
do. I don't know precisely what their, I don't have it in front of me what their FTE was and what their roles were each building last year, but I can certainly get that to you.
But I guess what it comes down to is it was enough of a change where it warranted being presented here.
Well, yes, to do it correctly, because we did the CIA forms, the change in assignment forms to make sure we tracked on it correctly.
Okay, thank you. All right. That was the only one that was a little bit, I couldn't quite figure out what that one meant because I was under the impression one of those individuals at least was at both of those buildings and kind of already dividing their time. So thank you. Is there any other further discussion? Okay, I will take a vote on the consent agenda with the approval of minutes removed. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The motion to approve the consent agenda with the approval of minutes removed passes 7-0. Thank you. So I'm going to move the approval of minutes down to the bottom of the agenda. So I guess, Sheridan, do you want to move on to recognitions?
Sure. This evening we have two recognitions on the agenda. The first recognition is in regard to the upcoming Wisconsin School Board Week, which is officially October 5th through the 11th, 2025. In honor of our school board members' dedication to the Cedarburg School District, we would like to present each of you with a small plant or succulent. We hope that you will be reminded of the impact you have on helping Cedarburg educators provide a nurturing environment in which the students can develop into lifelong learners, become responsible adults, and achieve their goals and dreams. Thank you, school board members. The second recognition is our Cedarburg High School 2026 National Merit Semifinalist. Mr. Casey Bill, CHS Principal, will share a little more about the award and these exceptional students.
Thank you, Dr. Clark and the Board of Education for the opportunity to recognize several of our most accomplished students for their recognition of achievement by the National Merit Scholarship Organization. I'm happy to share that Josephine Carpenter, Phoebe McCulley, Anna Dietz, Mason McManus, Maya Donnell, and Caden Kapoor have been chosen for recognition from a pool of around 1.3 million high school students who applied for the 2026 National Merit Scholarship Program. This is an incredible accomplishment worthy of celebration. Josephine and Phoebe have also been selected as two of 16,000 semifinalists and are invited to apply for finalist status. We're excited to support them with their applications and wish them the best of luck as they strive for further recognition. As Josephine and Phoebe continue through their process, their applications will be evaluated by the National Merit Organization based on various factors, including their performance on the PSAT, which they took last fall, academic achievements, the rigor of their coursework at Cedarburg High School, and additional information that they provide on their applications. The announcements of finalists is expected in February, when about half of all National Merit Scholarship finalists will then receive scholarships. I will close by offering that we often use the term gifted to describe students like these being recognized tonight. Each has excelled while taking the most challenging courses at Cedarburg High School, which is known for having one of the most rigorous programs in Wisconsin. These students work tirelessly, dedicating themselves to expanding their understandings of complex concepts and tackling our most challenging coursework. Simply calling them gifted does not capture how exceptionally hard these students have worked over their entire school career to be able to perform at the levels necessary to earn this recognition. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here tonight to congratulate these impressive, hardworking, and resilient Bulldogs. Go Bulldogs. Thank you.
Casey, please congratulate all of them on behalf of the board. It's really exciting and we're very proud of them and it really opens up a lot of opportunities for them. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, tonight we have 4 presentations as part of the superintendent's report. The first presentation is about Cedarburg High School's Best Buddies Club. Principal Bo is here to introduce our Best Buddies team.
So thank you for the opportunity to celebrate one of our most treasured CHS clubs tonight. Please welcome Best Buddies Club advisors, Ms. Kate Halliburton and Ms. Jenna Jagler, and student representatives to the podium to share a little bit about our 2-time and back-to-back internationally recognized outstanding chapter of Best Buddies.
All right, I'll get us started. I am Kate Halliburton. I'm here with the other co-advisor, Jenna Jagler. We brought actually some of our club members today to share a little bit about who we are. They're the backbone of the group. So we're going to let them kind of share, and we have some students to give kind of their own testimony as well in their experience. So this is what we do. We ensure a safe, inclusive space for all students in order to fulfill our mission. We host a variety of events, fundraisers, and pair up to hang out with and form strong friendships. Buddy pairings and mentorships allow us to form strong bonds with buddies and even their loved ones. In a buddy pair or group, buddies get together monthly to hang out. At events, the whole chapter gets together to celebrate various things like holidays and important school and world events. Okay, now we're moving into our popular events. So the first event we have is our match party, which is actually coming up at the beginning of October. The match party is our first meeting, which is where the buddies meet who they will be paired up for the year. And as Lola said, those pairs meet monthly. It's a super fun party that just gets our whole club together for like meeting and introductions. And so our theme this year is actually Minions, so everyone will be dressed in blue and yellow. But we're really looking forward to this. And then next we have our Friendship Walk. Our Friendship Walk is an event put together by the state, which allows all of the chapters around the state to go together for a walk that raises money for Best Buddies chapters around Wisconsin. In October, we also have a Halloween party and trick-or-treating where our group gets to go around the school and get candy from all the teachers. And then in the spring, we circle around and do an end of the year party where we do like backyard games, eat food, and just like all hang out to kick off summer and just like move on from the school year and start the next one.
I actually have a speech about Best Buddies. Right, here it goes. I love Best Buddies. I love being a part of Best Buddies. Best Buddies gives kids with disabilities friendships. We have pizza parties, Halloween parties, Thanksgiving parties, and Christmas parties. And we went to homecoming together last year. I love my Best Buddies. And Tess was my best buddy from last year. And we really missed her. And we missed Tess when she graduated. But she's in Oshkosh now.
Our future goals for the club are to improve our outreach through stronger communication while increasing our club members and community. We also want to collaborate with more clubs, organizations, and schools in Ozaukee County. In the past, we've collaborated with the MEC1 Best Buddies at Homestead, and we hope to expand that this year, as well as collaborate with our state board in order to increase our variety of experiences and events. Some of the awards that we got in both 2024 and 2025, Best Buddies International awarded CHS Best Buddies as Outstanding Chapter of the Year. And finally, we just have some pictures from some of our events. So we have our Skateland event, and we have our Color Run, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with because it's through CCSF. But overall, we just wanted to thank you for hearing about our club.
Thank you.
Could we ask them questions if you don't mind? We're very excited to hear about your club. I was a bit slow to clap, but thank you. I did have a couple questions, and I don't know if there's anyone in particular that would like to field them, so don't be shy going up to the mic. I was curious for when events are planned for the school year, and you mentioned wanting to be more involved with the state chapter. Is it something where that would be something where different school districts would say have what they had put together as past events and say whether it was successful, what turnout was like? I'm kind of curious about that process. I had been looking personally at silent discos a bunch and wondering if the high school had done one of those. So second question then is just who had been a participant at the middle school level as well as the high school level. So it's not directed to any one person, but whoever feels like answering that would be great.
So as far as events go, like throughout like the community and like the whole state, we have a student advisory board which is run by the state advisor. Her name's Megan. Actually, me and Evie this year are on the state board, so we're working with Megan along with like Caroline Obernetter. She's from Homestead, so we're working with them to like plan events. Last year there was an event, they did a Brewers game, which we weren't able to make the date work for us. But they just kind of communicate with us, and then we talk about the events that they had. We give events that we had to see if any of those would work in our upcoming schedule. Does anyone want to speak about the middle school program? No? I was a part of the middle school Best Buddies. I started being friends with Bobby Felder in like 3rd grade, and I used to hang out with him all the time. So then I joined Best Buddies in 6th grade because I was like the first time we had the club. And it's very similar to this, just more like in school events because you can't really drive and like go to other things. We did like gingerbread making houses, we did dance parties, coloring sheets. I don't know, it was really fun.
Any other questions? If you could, what community groups in either Cedarburg or surrounding would you like to see if you could partner with?
So previously we partnered with Homestead. In that picture, actually that is Homestead and our Best Buddies chapter, but I think we'd be open to partnering like for an even bigger event with Port Washington, and we previously partnered with CCSF, but also Mel's Charity. One of our leadership team members had the idea for a alumni event at one of our U-Ball games, which is basically where we invite Mel's Charity to come to that game, and we just do like a halftime game with them, so we're open to exploring that in the future. So I would say I work as a direct service provider at Balance Incorporated. I would love to work with them. In the summer, we have a children's summer rec program, and we have the adults from the day program called PACE come and like volunteer and supervise, and they have so much fun. So I think it would be really fun to get some older individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities in here as kind of mentors for these kids with intellectual and developmental disabilities.
I just want to, sorry, Laura, go ahead. I already had a turn, you go ahead. No, go ahead. This is my my brain working here from being aware of what balance does and how that works, acknowledging it's not specifically on our agenda, but is that something that would go through principal level, if that's a wish to work school district with a nonprofit?
So it all depends. Casey and I work closely together, so whatever was done, we'd work through it.
I'll just say that since I'm sitting at the table, I'll say it as a board member, I think that's an amazing idea. I look forward to any conversations that happen past this table. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to commend all of you. It's just sounds like a just wonderful opportunity to make new friends, and your 4 years of high school are going to go so fast, and I just hope your friendships will last way beyond high school. So have fun this year with your club. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, our next presentation will be by Dr. Derek Schaefer, our CHS German teacher, and his team will share this past summer's German-American Partnership Program trip to Germany.
All right, Dr. Clark, Cedarburg School Board, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here and to tell you about our trip this summer. And speaking of gratitude, I wanted to start off with just a couple of quotes from our students about their experiences. So at the end of our trip, our hosts in Germany have a sort of farewell evening for us and a farewell dinner, as just as we do here. And I had the students prepare just some thank you statements as they were about to depart the next day. And so I just wanted to share a couple of those. And then I'll turn the mic over here to Colton Kerslick, who was just on the trip. So he can just speak for a minute or two about why this experience was important to him. And then I'll continue to show some fun pictures and just talk about the importance of the program and some of the goals we have. So first of all, let's see if I can get this to work.
I want to turn it off.
Yeah. Oh, I see. No, I don't. Oh, there it is. All right. Okay, so again, just a few of the thankful messages. Again, most of them had to do with food. And we're just happy that they were welcomed by the families with open arms, and they experienced so many different things, experienced the culture, working on their German skills. As you can see, they were very happy that the German students were, the German families were patient with their German skills. When we go over there, the German students have been taking English since 4th or 5th grade already, so they know that their English skills are better than our German, but they're very patient in helping our students make sure that they improve their German skills as well, because it's not just a trip to Germany and travel, it's about learning the language and learning about the culture. And that one at the bottom right there, I'm thankful that my family helped me throw away my trash. That is not just a joke. It's actually true. In Germany, they are very serious about recycling, and it's different the way they do it there, so it takes like a degree to figure out how they recycle over there. So, and again, just a couple more. In fact, one from Colton, being thankful with the opportunity to see the history and a lot of new places in Germany. Everybody that went on the trip had just told me that they really got to experience, as Michaela said, Germany to the fullest, and they really felt like a part of the family while they were over there. So, they've already said that they miss Germany in class already. So I'll turn it over to Colton here just for a moment, so he can just talk about his experience and sort of the impact that it had on him.
I just wanted to say thank you for Schaefer for allowing me to speak today, and I want to start off by talking about the Germans coming over to the U.S. in 2023. When the Germans came over and I initially applied for the program, I didn't really expect that this fall of my junior year I'd be wishing I could go back to Germany right away, but here we are. The trip was was probably the most fun I've had over a summer my whole life. I got to see so many new interesting places as in the American group, but also with my host family. I got to eat so much good food. I got to just, again, see so many cool places. I probably have over 200 photos alone just from the trip. It was incredibly fun to connect with my host family that, like a lot of people said up on the slideshow, they really did they really welcomed us with open arms and treated us as one of their own, and it really did feel welcoming. I never felt out of place while I was there, and I never really felt like, this trip wasn't worth it. It never felt like that. And I've gotten kind of the same consensus from everybody else in my class that the trip was probably the most fun that they've had, and that nobody regretted going on it. And most, if not all of us, were pretty sad to get on the bus to the airport and head back to the U.S., even though we all missed our families. The exchange program is a bunch of fun. You get to make friends from the other side of the world, and it is bittersweet that you can't connect with them as easy, but those connections you make, they really feel genuine, not like just some forced kind of program. They feel genuine, like you just made a new friend all on your own, not somebody pushing you together. Again, I have to reiterate over and over again, it was the most fun I've had probably any summer my whole life, and I would really give anything to take another plane ticket over to Germany and see my host family again, because I loved every second of it. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
What was the most historic thing that you saw? What jumped out? It's remarkable.
That is a very good question. The truth about Germany, I probably have to say the inner city when we were staying in Nuremberg for the first about week, we got to see the inner city, and it's incredible because you get to see, because here in the U.S. we have history that goes back most like 300 years to the 1700s, but there you have castles that kings lived in, and you can see photos from almost 10 centuries ago, and it's incredible. It really is an experience like no other to see all this old history and to think that there was a time when the people that lived here didn't have cars or electricity or any of the facets that we do. They walked everywhere. All the roads were cobblestone instead of, especially near cities like Nuremberg, most of the roads were cobblestone instead of, concrete. And it really did feel like you were walking through a piece of history. And yeah, but the oldest thing, probably the inner city in Nuremberg, I have to say.
Okay. Did you attend school there as well?
Yeah, as part of the program, so because they still have school that bleeds a little bit into June for the summer, we went with our exchange partners through their class schedule, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was definitely confusing to be in a Latin class being taught in German, but it was a very fun experience. Most if not every single teacher was super glad to have us. And there was one moment on the last day, because my partner had to take an exam for geography, so I asked Herr Schiffer what I could do, and he suggested going to one of their 5th grade level classes and speaking to the kids there, and that was probably the little cherry on top of the end of the trip, talking to a bunch of kids in another country and telling them all about your culture and how you do things. And I distinctly remember one moment where we were talking about ages. I said I was 16, and I brought up that you get your driver's license at 16 in America, and one little girl sitting in the front immediately popped up and said, and the teacher translated this to me after the fact, she immediately said she wanted to move to America so she could drive at that age too. The trip was a lot of fun, and if anyone is thinking about if anyone enjoys German class and would enjoy the trip, I couldn't recommend it more. It's probably one of the most fun things I've done in my life.
So we've heard a lot about food. What is the one thing that you miss that you can't necessarily get here?
I would have to say, for dinner a couple of the nights, my exchange partner's mom made these really good pancakes. Not like the ones we have in the U.S. where they're fluffy, but they were really thin. But what they did was they took 2 pancakes and they made almost like a crepe, like with Nutella, and it was probably the best food I'd ever eaten. And if that, I mean, maybe that'd be half the reason I could go back to
Colton, did you take German in middle school as well as high school? Was that your preferred?
I took German from 7th grade through all the way up to now in German 4.
Thank you. This is reminding me of one of my good friends who was the German exchange student when I was in high school. So, thank you for sharing so much.
No problem. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Colton. I'm sure you're an outstanding ambassador for younger German students to keep the program going. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you very much. And that's just like one of many stories. And we've started to begin the recruitment for the next round of trips. This trip in the summer closed the one round, and then the next round is coming up. So I'll keep it quick here for the next part of the presentation. But all those students have come to my classes now and shared their experiences with the hopefully next round of students, and it makes me feel really good to find out that they're so excited about it and that they had such a great time and that they learned so much while they were there. So just a couple pictures. This is the pictures of our travels over there. It's a long flight, but they all took it in stride. Again, we are in the south of Germany in Bayern, or Bavaria in English, and there's Bavaria, and then there's where we are. So the school is right on a lake, which is absolutely beautiful there. And you can see the mountains, the Alps from the lake, and so close to Munich. Again, the school itself, just to cut the idea again what the city is like. And the school itself is a gymnasium, which is a university preparatory school. So the grades are from 5 to 13. So as Colton was saying, he went and visited a 5th grade class, and we've done that in years past too. It's been a lot of fun to visit their English classes, and the 5th graders and the 6th graders are just, their eyes are open wide to see American students in their classes. And so as with Cedarburg, the school has very high standards, and so most of the students, if not all of them, will be then planning on going to university when they graduate. So there's a good match there with the academic rigor. Again, here's some of the places that we do visit. So we're in school for 5 days, at least, and then the students are attending classes with their host families. And then on the days off, there are a couple of days in which we go to certain trips. So like these castles, Neuschwanstein, and then one of the cities that we went to, Bamberg, are both on the UNESCO World Cultural Heritage Sites, with that Neuschwanstein in the upper left, just getting that distinction this year. Nuremberg is where we began our trip, so we get a little bit of like a Germany light, in which the students are all together. We do a lot of touristy things, and everybody kind of gets to know each other and things the first few days before we move on to our host families. Again, very famous. I mean, that image is everywhere when people think about Germany. So we went there too, did some traveling around and touristy, and went to a couple of museums. And then, of course, we went to Garmisch-Partenkirchen, which is a very beautiful place as well, and did a little bit of hiking near the Alps. There's a great picture of the group in Nuremberg. It was a big group. It was 19 students. It's the most that I've ever taken. My counterpart at Webster Middle School, Jillian Mick, was the other chaperone. And I told the students at the end, this is the 3rd exchange that I've led, and these students were the best students that I've ever had. They were absolutely wonderful. Zero problems. They and then they just embraced everything about the trip. So just a couple more trips and pictures from our trip in Nuremberg. Of course, you have to eat. We talked about the food. Yeah. Again, a great group. And there's Bamberg again, one of the cities you went to, which is also a UNESCO Cultural Heritage Site. Lots of churches and castles. It is Germany, for after all. Cedarburg, of course. I guess I'll say, and then here's the pictures of our welcome evening. The German host families really take care of us. They throw us these parties, this welcome evening dinner when we first arrive with Bavarian games and things that's very steeped in Bavarian culture right from the beginning. And of course, there's the Hammerschlagen game. That must be a part of it. And then they spend time with their families. On the weekends, the students are with their families, and they take them on excursions, take them to nearby towns, hiking. Very important in Bavaria. So, again, just more pictures of the beautiful castles and everything. So, we do also are trying to continue this partnership with Cedarburg and Diesen, in which we go visit the city hall. So there's me right next to the mayor of Diesen. She comes and welcomes us. She talks about her job. She talks about a little bit about Diesen. And then when the German students come here, it's the same thing in Cedarburg. They go to city hall and speak with the mayor and just talk about what it's like in the United States and what her job is. The students, while they're there, they give presentations, so it's not all fun. They have to give presentations, so they'll give cultural presentations about Wisconsin and about Cedarburg. Some of the presentations are in English, others are in German. The more advanced students, usually they get told to do their presentations in German, which really is good preparation for the AP exam. So part of the also goal of the trip is to improve the students' comprehension as well as their speaking abilities, and then get the cultural aspect, because one of the free response questions on the AP exam is a cultural comparison. So this also ties directly into the AP exam as they go. And one of the things I'll just say is kind of close before I close here. This particular presentation was requested by my counterpart in Germany because she was so impressed with how we celebrate our students here at Cedarburg. How we have state marching band parades around the school when athletes go to state. How we have wall of fames for athletes and for students and everything, and all the things that we do. She just said that we don't do that here. We don't take the time to celebrate our students and make them feel extremely good for all of their accomplishments in school. So, again, the presentations and that is it. So, again, I want to thank you. This is really, one of the, not only do I get to go to Germany, but to see the students and how much this impacts them and how much they enjoy this trip is really a great part of my job. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. One of the other travel experiences that our kids get to take on is with Global Scholars. And the Global Scholars provides our high school students with an opportunity to travel to various locations throughout the world. Mr. Elmaker and team will share this past summer's travel experience.
Okay, thank you for having us tonight. My name is Jeff Elmaker. I'm the advisor for Global Scholars Club at the high school. This is my 5th trip with Global Scholars and taking our students around the world. Our 6th trip is this summer to Scotland, Ireland, and England. And it was an amazing opportunity for me. And on behalf of the 3 other chaperones that were with me, Ms. Lesmeister, Ms. Lacuna, and Mr. Hoffman, we just had a fantastic time with our students. I've invited Evie to speak on her experiences of New Zealand, and Allison to speak about, or talk about, her experience in Australia.
Okay, so first, I'm just going to share 2 of my favorite parts of New Zealand. The first one is the All Blacks experience, which is their rugby team. We don't have rugby here, so it was really cool to see that sport. We got to go to their locker room and see how they train, which was just really interesting because I didn't know much about it until then. And then I also really like the Skyline gondola because you got to ride like a ski lift up to the top of the mountains, and then you could see like this luge, which is like a roller coaster down the mountains, which we actually got to do, and then tried some new food and just see how like everybody lives around there, which was just really pretty overall. I'll speak about Australia and my two favorite things there. So I really liked the Opera House because we don't really have a big performing arts center here like that, and there's so many different rooms that people perform in, and there's actually some rooms like you can't take pictures in, but they were all super pretty, and then the coral reef, which is actually pictured on the bottom, yep, that one, and the closest thing we have to us is lakes, so to see something like this, I thought was really cool, and like, even though it's like scary being in the middle of the ocean, seeing something like this you can't see at home, so I really appreciated that.
Did I hear that you had to do the luge?
No.
Okay.
So I was kind of curious. I always see videos of the critters in Australia and New Zealand. Did you guys have any experiences with that or funny stories about, seeing some things you may not be used to here?
Personally, I didn't, but some people that we were like across the room with that went on this trip, there was a spider in their room, and we got a call at like 1 a.m. that they couldn't sleep, so we had to kill the spider. It wasn't that big, but it was bigger than here, so it was kind of interesting.
Nothing endangered, right?
No.
I have a question. Could one of you share something that you plan on like applying to the rest of your time here at the high school that you learned or experienced on your trip?
Yeah, in New Zealand they were really like prominent about like recycling, and you don't like do all this stuff to their environment because they're just like really like it needs to be clean, it needs to protect it because there's all these different species that are only in New Zealand. So that was kind of interesting because anywhere you go here there's like litter everywhere, which isn't good, but it was just interesting to see how much like everybody there cared about like how the environment looked and how all the streets were like super clean and like there was never trash anywhere. So that was really interesting.
I'm jealous of you going to the Opera House. Thank you very much for
thank
this opportunity.
All right, next up is our Buildings and Grounds Director, Rick Radke, to talk about some of the events or work that was done this summer.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. So I'm just going to talk about 3 of the bigger projects that we took care of this summer and just give a little updates on how it went, and if you have any questions, you can answer them at the end. All right, first up is the 2 roof sections over at Webster. So we did the roof over the gym and also the east canopy. That's the one that comes out of the back of the building that the kids go underneath when they get picked up at the end of the day. So both of those were replaced. Both of them were leaking and in dire need. So the project went very smoothly. It was done by Wallsdorf Roofing. The work was completed on August 26th, so it's right on schedule before school start. And the estimated cost was $238,174, and the actual came in at $237,578. So it came in a little bit less. So I was happy for that. But overall, I did a walkthrough of the roofs when the project was finished. Everything looks great. We should be in really good shape for a long time now in both sections. And I was very happy with the contractor. They did a really nice job.
What kind of warranty is there for that?
So there's the manufacturer warranty on the products, like the rubber. That has a 20-year warranty. And then the Wallsdorf Roofing has a 2-year warranty on their workmanship.
Thank you.
Okay. And next up is the JV tennis courts. So the JV tennis courts were resurfaced by Armstrong Paving Company. They were ready for play by September 1st. We did have a little issue with the courts when they started working on them. When the courts were originally built, they put a fiberglass mesh down on top of the asphalt, which helps prevent spider cracking and things like that. Some water had gotten underneath that and started bubbling the mesh. There really wasn't any way to fix it, so they had to remove it. And then, so that added an extra cost of $15,600. But in the end, the courts are just as good as they would have been with the mesh. So once they got all that torn off, then they were able to fill in any cracks and then redo the surface and with the new color in the paint and everything. And they are super bright and they look brand new and should be good for a long time again. So the total cost of the project came in at $84,888. So like I said, a little bit more than we thought, but now they're good. We shouldn't have to touch them for another 10 years.
Rick, was there a contingency with that one at all when it was brought to BMG? I'm
There was
trying
not a contingency.
to remember anything.
Yeah, that one, we didn't foresee there being these issues, but once they got into it, they were discovered, so we had to address it. There was nothing else that we could really do.
Will not having the mesh in there, shorten the lifespan of it next summer?
No, they do in the beginning because that's the time when the asphalt's drying, and that's the time when you're gonna get the cracking. So because the courts are the age that they are, any cracking that would have happened already. So there really isn't a need for it at this stage of life. If there are a crack here or two that happens, we can still repair that. So no, it really shouldn't affect the longevity of the course.
Under warranty through the installers fix it? Is that what you mean? If there is an issue?
If there's an issue with their
license
workmanship, yes, but
Okay.
over time, there could be
Right.
cracks that happen.
Okay.
It just naturally is asphalt, and with the freeze and thaw of Wisconsin, it probably will happen. But overall, the courts were in great shape. When they did tear the mesh off, there wasn't any major cracking that had to be fixed. It was very minor. So I've heard nothing but good things from the tennis teams and from John Hannum, so everybody's happy that they're done.
Do we have an estimate on when that mesh was installed? Like, is that, a second iteration of the course, or is that the first
That was
installation?
the original.
So
yeah.
was that 20, 15, 20?
I don't have the number memorized. It's at least 10, they're at least 10 years old.
Yeah.
I want to say it's getting closer to 15
Yeah.
since they were put in. Yeah.
I feel like that was a question at a committee level and you had it then, so
It was, yeah.
if I go back in my notes, I could find
Yeah,
it.
it's in probably my presentation when I first talked about this, but sorry, I don't have it memorized. Any other questions on this one? Okay. And then my favorite project, the phrase mowing of the softball and soccer fields. So that was completed by Midwest Athletic Fields. Again, the project went really, really well. It took them 2 days in total to get both fields done. It was a really interesting process to watch, and then also to see once the greenery of the grass was stripped off, you could really see the low spots in the areas that needed attention. So then they came in and they did their top dressing, which filled all that in. And then the fields were grown in and washed and ready to go by the start of the season. And again, I've heard nothing but good things. The first couple of games they played, John Hannum let me know that the coaches said the playability of the field was much better. So just the flatness of it and the way the ball rolled, they could tell right away that it was better. So this one came in right at its estimated cost and the actual cost. And my grounds guys have been keeping on it, doing the fertilizing and the controlling of the weeds and things like that. And they will continue to do that. And again, this is something that will last for a long time before we ever really need to address these fields again. So very happy with how it turned out.
I'd be curious to see, as someone who played soccer, a field that's uneven is prone to injuring players. I'd be curious to see if the athletic department has a record of injuries, whether it's our athletes or other schools on the field prior to this, and if we could see in the future.
Sure. It'd be interesting, like in a year or two, to talk to John and.
If we need it done on other fields. That would be a good statistic to have.
I do know one thing that John commented. He said the coaches right away they commented when the players were making cuts, they would see like sand get kicked up, and at first I think that alarmed them. But I told them, I said, no, that's actually good because what that tells you is that the sand is loose and it's not hard compacted ground. So that loose giving material helps your joints and helps with footing. So overall, it makes the field much better. Great. Thank you, Rick. That's all I have for you. Thank you.
Could we just have that added to the presentation added into the agenda?
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, finally you will see the seclusion and restraint annual report in your package. Pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 118.3054C, 2019 Wisconsin Act 118 requires the district to report the seclusion and restraint data for the school board annually by October 1st. For each school, the district must include in the report the following information: the number of incidents of seclusion in the school during the previous school year, the total number of students who were involved in the incidents of seclusion, the number of students with disabilities who were involved in the incidents of seclusion, the number of incidents of physical restraint in the school during the previous school year, the total number of students who were involved in the incidents of physical restraint, and the number of students with disabilities who were involved in the incidents of physical restraint. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, but that is in your report packet.
I did have questions, and Kara's not here. I think they were more Kara directed. But some things that I would like to see, if I'm still here on the board when this comes around again, some things that I would think would be helpful to see would be not only this year's report, but if the administrator is here that evening, also be able to compare our perhaps 2 years prior to current year. I also had questions as to whether parents, if we had any parents on record as submitting a letter of no consent for seclusion and restraint. I recognize this is basically a report, right? We're not taking action on this, just so everyone's clear. This is something that is required of the district to do. So I fully recognize that, but I also would like to see there be a bit more discussion on not only our policy where it talks about, the policy is included in tonight's meeting, so I'm fine talking about this, just so everyone is clear. We have wording in that policy that talks about the training for seclusion and restraint. I would also like to hear an administrator speak about the de-escalation tactics prior to seclusion and restraint. So again, I recognize this is just a report, but we have not had any agenda where this has been an open point of discussion for the board. So it's really my only opportunity to kind of share my thoughts as they have occurred. Parents have absolutely reached out, especially over this summer, regarding seclusion and restraint. So I've shared a few things there, and take it for what it is.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I have had no parent reach out to me regarding anything regarding special education, so I would encourage if parents do have concerns to let me know so we can take action.
I think you answered my question. If it's a Karen thing, let me know, but did you say we haven't had parent complaints on seclusion and restraint?
I've had no parents reach out to me.
Well, the staff, has any staff had?
I've had no one reach out to me.
So,
No.
Just so everyone is clear, that's, it's very tempting for me to say more, and I feel I'm being kind of put in a position where me saying, hey, parents have reached out with concerns about this, and then it being followed up with the, hey, has anybody offered or had any complaints about this? And the answer is no from our superintendent. That's not how the process works. It is the parents, the principals, the LEAs, then the administrator. Our administrator is not here, so I don't bring these things up lightly. People do not escalate something to a complaint, and the goal is to not get it to that point. Seclusion and restraint should always be the last option, and I'm concerned at our numbers, but I would have liked to see our numbers from last year and the year prior. I would like to know from our administrator who deals with this whether any parents actually are informed that they can write letters of no consent for seclusion and restraint. This isn't just something where it's, oh, someone filed a complaint, yes or no. It's a very in-depth process. So again, I'm sharing it because this is my only time to do it, so that everyone is getting this at the same time.
And that is it. Unless there's any other questions or comments, that's it for the superintendent's report.
I would appreciate the policy being looked at when the policy committee meets next. Okay, thank you. We are going to move on to public comment. No one has signed up in advance. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak? Okay, Dr. Clark, can you take recommendations?
All right. This evening we have 5 recommendations. The first recommendation is seeking board approval for the Serve Safe Manager 8th edition revised textbook for use with the Pro Start 2 class starting this school year. This recommendation has been forwarded to the full board for approval from the curriculum committee. Miss Sally Rudich, Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, is here to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Serve Safe Manager 8th edition revised textbook.
I will make the motion to approve the Cedarburg High School Pro Start 2 resources.
Second. All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the Serve Safe Cedarburg High School Pro Start resources, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? That vote passes 7-0. Thank you.
All right, the next recommendation is seeking board approval for the Bridge Road partial renewal lease for 2026 of $4,000 with Dale Luders, who is the current tenant. This recommendation is being forwarded to the full board for approval from the Personnel and Finance Committee. Ms. Zabel, Director of Business Services, is here to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
I would make a motion to approve the Bridge Road parcel renewal.
Second.
26.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the Bridge Road parcel renewal lease for 2026, vote say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The vote passes 7-0. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Kim Zabel will present a recommendation regarding a resolution authorizing temporary borrowing in amount not to exceed $1.5 million, issuance of tax and revenue promissory notes, and participation in the PMA levy and aid anticipation notes program. While this topic was discussed at the P&F committee meeting, we had not requested that the P&F committee forward it to the full board for approval because we did not have the final numbers at the time of that meeting. Ms. Zabel.
To the resolution, we didn't have the final resolution yet, which is attached in board docs and uploaded for you. Our borrowing amount will be $1.49 million. That's down from $2.1 million last year. It will still have interest, so this is a short-term borrow where we'll get it in the end of October. We'll pay it back in March, April. First part of April. The interest rate is not to exceed 6%, it says on the resolution, but that will be finalized during the sale of the bond the sale in October. The note, it's a promissory note.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I motion to approve the resolution authorizing temporary borrowing in an amount not to exceed $1,500,000. Should I continue? Issuance of tax and revenue anticipation promissory notes and participating in the PMA levy and the anticipation notes program.
May I offer just a friendly amendment of $1,500,000?
Thank you.
And I will second that. Any discussion?
I think this was the item that I didn't get to hear at PNF. I think I had to leave this one. So was there discussion at that committee and then the item was forwarded without recommendation? There was discussion at the committee. It wasn't voted on because there was no resolution to view and vote on. Okay, so that's why. So just discussion. Yeah, we talked about. Thank you.
And just so the community is aware, this is not something unusual. This is something that's regularly done by our district and other districts to get us through till.
Did you say it's not something you control?
What did you say?
I said, so just so the public knows,
I know, yeah.
but just so the public is aware that this is something that it's not abnormal. It's something we do every year.
Correct.
Most districts do just to get us through till he arrives in October.
Yep, and this notes program that the very long title is part of is a bundle of a number of school districts that do this together to pool 55 million to get a better interest rate that PMA helps us do. It's very common practice because we have to start paying teachers in September and we don't get our, you know my spiel, we don't get our tax levy, our major tax levy until January and our large installment of equalization aid until December. So it helps us through those low periods and make sure we can make payroll and vendor payments in those low periods.
I guess it's good interest rates dropped today, so.
I saw that, yes.
That's one of what the county board meeting.
Okay, any further discussion? We will be taking a roll call vote. So all those in favor of approving or taking action regarding a resolution of authorizing temporary borrowing in an amount not to exceed $1,500,000 issuance of tax and revenue anticipation promissory notes and participation in the PMA and aid anticipation notes program. Dr. Savaji.
Aye.
Mrs. Charland.
Aye.
Mrs. Netzel.
Aye.
Mrs. Strobel is an aye. Ms. Erickson.
Aye.
Ms. Kincaid.
Aye.
Mr. Demchuk.
Aye.
Okay, the vote passes 7-0. Thank you.
All right. The next recommendation is seeking board approval for the June 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2027 NICE healthcare contract. This contract was discussed at the Personnel and Finance Committee meeting and is being forwarded to the full board for approval. Ms. Zabel is here to answer any questions.
Any questions? Otherwise, I'll take a motion.
I'll move to approve the June 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2027 NICE healthcare contract wording as presented.
I will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or any discussion? All right, then I will, let's see. Let's all in favor of approving the June 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2027 NICE healthcare contract. Say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The vote passes 7-0. Thank you.
All right. The last recommendation is for the acceptance of donations to the district. This month there are 7 donations. $2,387 in-kind equipment and installation donated from the Cedarburg Overhead Door Company to be used for a new garage door for the CHS football concession stand. $2,400 donation from Mind and Neurology to be used to support the Cedarburg High School athletic program. $2,722 donation from the Cedarburg Athletic Booster Club to be used to support the girls' high school volleyball program. $3,100 donation from the Cedarburg Athletic Booster Club to be used to support Cedarburg High School's girls' basketball program. $6,000 donation from Webster PTO to be used to support classroom activities and field trips for Webster Middle School students. $3,000 donation from the Parkview PTO to be used to purchase resources for warm-up and end-of-unit activities at Parkview Elementary School. $4,950 donation from the Parkview PTO to be used to support classroom supplies. If approved, the total donations for September will be $24,559, and the total board-approved donations to date for the 2025-26 school year will be $347,242.50.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I would make a motion to approve the donations made to the district.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the motion to, for the donations made to the district? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The vote passes 7-0. And just once again, you know what? I forgot to ask for discussion. So how do we handle that?
Yes.
The majority vote was all in favor.
Okay,
I think
sorry
we
about that. All right,
So that is it for recommendations.
thank you. So we're gonna move on to committee reports. Mrs. Sherland, if you could update us on the curriculum committee meeting that was held September 3rd.
We met September 3rd, and the first item that we discussed was the ProStart 2 new resource, the Serve Safe Food Manager certification.
Michelle, I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you just speak into the mic? I can't quite hear you. Thank you.
Is that better? Maybe. Maybe not. It's fluffy. No, it's fluffy.
Oh.
Okay, that was a lot. Maybe you'll share his.
Okay, thank you for letting me know. So we met September 3rd. We first discussed that ProStart 2 resource, the Serve Safe Food Manager certification book that we voted on. It's going to be a classroom edition, and the cost will be about $1,600. And it's the most updated, revised version out there. And next, it was an informational topic on educational experiences. So this was about high school and different ways that students can earn certifications or college credit at the high school with the goal of advancing academic excellence for all students. Just briefly, there's a very detailed document in board docs under the curriculum committee that I recommend taking a look at. But we discussed advanced placement courses. There's 30 courses at the high school currently. I just wanted to note, because I thought this was great, that last year there were 656 students taking a total of 1,228 AP exams, and there was an 88.75 pass rate, meaning a score of 3 or higher. And every year the pass rate has increased, the number of students participating has increased. So I thought that was great. Industry recognized certifications such as Serve Safe or the Briggs & Stratton Master Service Technician. And then with all of these, we discussed like what is the cost to the student or the family and the cost to the district. So that's in the board docs document as well. We discussed dual enrollment academies and dual credit or concurrent enrollment. And the high school offers 17 dual credit courses such as a college trigonometry and pre-calc class. We discussed early college credit program where students can earn up to 18 credits at a college in which the high school doesn't have a comparable course. We discussed the Start College Now program, which involves courses at the Wisconsin Technical Colleges, and the Youth Apprenticeship program, which is now run by the CISA 1. It's called the CISA 1 Youth Apprenticeship Consortium. And that includes students doing a paid worksite learning experience. And then our final topic of the meeting was a device-free day. So this is something new just to prepare the district and staff and students for a potential cyber incident where there perhaps couldn't be technology available. It's going to be not using technology in the classroom on that day, and it's just going to be done to make sure that the district has the best plan possible at an unknown date. And then our next meeting is October 1st.
Thank you. And Mrs. Netzel, will you share on the September 10th PNF committee meeting?
Yes, so we met on the 10th. We had a number of things on the agenda. First was the Bridge Road land lease that we did vote on tonight. Dental insurance and health insurance updates. We took a look at where we were at, what was projected, and how that compared to not being self-funded. So it was helpful to see that comparison, and it sounds like we're in a good place. We also discussed the NICE healthcare contract and the fact that it's working well, which was also just voted on. We discussed the 25-26 budget update. At this point, we have a balanced budget. There are still pieces out there that we don't have all the information to, so that will be coming up next month. We also discussed the 25-26 cash flow borrowing that we now did vote on as well for short-term borrowing. We discussed the food service balance update, which was an interesting discussion of how to recoup accounts that may be overdrawn and might have been that way for years. So there was some good discussion on the best way to approach that. We also talked about the Webster Food Service line. There's going to be some remodeling happening at Webster. And there's food service using funds from the food service fund. We also had a 25-26 staffing update. I believe everything is fully staffed. Was there just one? Or was it both?
Yep.
And then we also had some discussion about CSD, educator compensation, what the philosophy and objectives are for the board and the district moving forward. And I believe that will be on the website.
Yep.
So we have a future meeting date of October 16th, 2025.
Thank you. And as you can see, we have robust committee meetings and the public is always welcome. So now we're going to move the approval of minutes. That is the last item on here. So
I would like to, I'm going to speak while this is, that might be good.
here,
I would like to make a motion to separate the regular meeting minutes from the closed session meeting minutes. The meeting minutes would then be approved at the October 22nd meeting, and the closed session minutes would be rewritten and approved at the next closed session as is policy. I would also like to note that in the closed session minutes, the last vote is incorrectly recorded. It is not 6-0, it was 5 yea, 1 nay.
can you repeat the motion, Kate?
So the motion is to separate the regular meeting minutes from the closed session, present the regular meeting minutes for approval at the October 22nd regular monthly board meeting, and then
Slow down here. Sorry.
So we're going to approve
Okay, I have separate regular meeting minutes from the closed session.
yes,
Okay.
approve the regular session minutes at the October 22nd board meeting.
The regular session minutes at the October 22nd meeting. Okay.
And then approve the closed session meeting minutes at the next closed session. With the notation that the last vote needs to be,
Okay, wait, sorry, I just can't write that fast, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to read back what I'm writing here, so I don't care if it's too many. At the next,
It might be superseding. So I think it might be. I would make a different recommendation if you wanted.
and I have, and change the vote to,
5 yea.
all right, I am gonna read this back. Ready? Okay, separate the regular meeting minutes from the closed session. Approve the regular session minutes at the October 2nd meeting. Approve the closed session meeting minutes at the next closed session meeting. And change the vote to 5 yea, 1 nay for the last recorded vote. Is that correct?
October 22nd. I know you probably have 22nd, but you said second. So just 22nd, yeah.
We do have 22nd.
So I was trying to I had my fingers up because I was trying to keep track of how many actions that would be, like how many potential decisions on the wording.
If you want to separate, I'm all right with that.
So my thought process would be so just background, I did look at the minutes ahead of time, and it was confusing to me. I'm just curious for what was presented to the board on our side, because that's not public, right? That's just draft right now, correct, Brenda? So what was sent to the board, was it an oversight in how it was sent, meaning some of those were meant to be sent at a different time?
I wasn't at closed session.
Right, okay.
That is the way I understand all action was taken when you reconvened into open session when that's why minutes in the open session. The action was taken in open session.
Okay, so I think there's potentially just two different views on that as to whether those minutes would be approved at the next opportunity where there's a closed session versus today.
Well, we've done it.
Okay.
Session goes on open session.
So actually, going back to all the past closed session minutes are always approved in closed session. So because if you read the regular session as listed as who attended, it makes no distinction as to others present, was it closed or was it open? So when you're including both closed session in your regular session minutes, this says school board meeting minutes Wednesday, August 20th, because they were noticed separately, they have to be approved separately. And so if you go back to, I believe it was the June 18th closed session minutes were what was approved at the August 20th closed session meeting.
Correct, but if you look at those minutes, it ends with, they move either the open session, that's not like that's the end of those minutes.
Yeah, but they were separate. So they didn't, right now what we've got is an agenda being, or minutes being approved that includes both the noticed regular monthly session and the closed session, where it should be separate.
Are we able to table a vote on this as this gets sorted out and address it? Because I think it's getting rather confusing for all of us.
I mean, I'm following it. I think you could just, if you want to, you can, but it's fine. You can do it either way. From my perspective, when I looked at the draft minutes, my recollection was that closed session minutes are approved at the next opportunity for a closed session. So that's what confused me. Anything else regarding votes that took, anything that happened after I left, I'm not aware of. So it sounds like there's a necessary change in how the minutes were recorded. So whoever recorded the minutes missed something, because I hear that there was a change that needs to be made in the actual votes, like how things shook out at the end. So either way, if you table this for a next meeting, it can somehow be reflected that there's a desire to accurately reflect what the vote totals were.
I feel it would be appropriate to table it. I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, that this is going to have any impact on the goings of the school in the next month if this gets tabled. So
We have to do it correct legally and approve them separately.
So if you ask my opinion, I think we should table it, we can get it all hammered out.
Okay,
Well, then I'll rescind my motion and make a motion to table.
and then we'll
Second.
Okay.
I was following, I promise.
So we have a motion and a second to table the regular school board meeting minutes of August 20th, 2025. Is there any discussion?
Just reiterating that if there is any discrepancy that Ms. Erickson shared, that be changed prior to the vote on those minutes.
Yeah. Maybe add them. Right, it was, the vote was 5-1, so I would be curious to see what was written down, because I wrote the hand notes on that, and I get lost in translation here or what, but that is correct. I would also want to see that, given the one that we pulled out of control.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Thank you for your patience.
I didn't write this revised motion down, so. All those in favor of tabling, taking any action regarding the Cedarburg, no, I'm on the wrong page. The regular school board meeting minutes from August 20th. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The vote to table the regular school board meeting minutes from August 20th passes 7-0. Thank you. And with that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjournment? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? We are adjourned 7-0. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Yeah, punching the legal to the supplements. Yes, it's, you could use a little longer. Yeah.
me.